All right, y'all, we are doing chapter 3. Melissa had kind of looked through the different chapters and decided that she felt like there was so much meat in chapter 3 that she'd like to just focus the hour today on chapter 3, and then next week we will do chapter 4. If you ever, because everybody's doing their chapters the way they want to do them, if you ever feel that way, you just let us know and we'll push the week back. We're not in any hurry to get through the book. We just knew that the chapters were kind of short, and so we were going to combine them. But if they become something that you think you really need to focus on one area, especially if it's a weakness for your team or for yourself or something like that, then that's great. This is your book study, and we want you to lead it the way that you feel is best. So I'm going to hand it over to Mel, and I'm really excited to see. This is Rock Your Network Marketing Business, by the way.
So, hi everybody. Let's get started with prayer. Father, thank you for this time together. Thank you first and foremost, for your love. We give you thanks for this business. Each of us have been, called differently and gifted differently. But we know it comes from you. So we give it to you first and foremost, Lord, and would you just be with us during this study and, be with our words and our actions and give us a wonderful day. We thank you, God. Amen. So, hey, everybody. So glad to be able to share this chapter with you. Really one of my favorite chapters in the whole book. And so I really like interaction. So just so you'll know, so be sure to unmute yourself often and jump in. And I'll ask you some questions if you don't. So let's get started. Chapter 3 is Think Like a CEO. And so, really like this. In fact, I was just talking to my husband, about the difference between working for someone and getting a paycheck regardless of, he works directly for an entrepreneur and a franchisee, and he gets a paycheck regardless of what the bottom line is, unless the business closes. And so we're just talking about that, different from this business. And so although there's residual income, we are the business owners. So on page 27, I like it where she really challenges us, and she just says, and excites me at the same time, you're your own boss, this is your own business, and you design your own future. And so, there's a little bit of scary and a little bit of excitement in that. That's, in the first paragraph. When you skip down to the second paragraph, it talks about, not everybody who joins is fully prepared to be a business owner. That was 100% me. And so, I love this book because she's going to teach us some skills. If you're ready, you wouldn't probably be on this book study if you didn't want to be a business builder. And so, we still struggle with limiting belief and lack of self-motivation. Raise my hand. So mindset and management of time and emotions are the places where people often get caught up. So we're going to camp out a little bit in that area. We're going to talk about, in developing your blueprint, a couple of parts there. And then we're going to touch on personal growth and development, goal setting, and playing the part today. So she says at the bottom of page 27, when you have total control over these areas being mindset and management of time and emotions, then you can accomplish anything in your business. And so whatever your anything is, everybody's goals I know are different. Although, we like to throw it out there, I'm going to be a diamond, and I'm not saying we don't all, feel like that. But if you're like me, that seems way, way, way almost too big, and so we'll talk about, goal setting in a little bit and breaking it down. It's a great dream, but an actual, goal, and how much do I want to give to this business, and what do I want from it? So anyway, she talks about, so I encourage you to really start, especially, we're starting a new month here soon in April, and I encourage you to start thinking about, I am a business owner. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. And so, really wrap your mind around that. And I think it'll kind of, spur your passions a little bit. So, anyway, if we're, oftentimes we hear the tagline, you can work this business into the nooks and crannies of your life. And although that's true, for me personally, what that does almost sometimes is downplay my business. It downplays my motive. It doesn't motivate me because it almost says to me, my business can be third, fourth, or fifth in my life because I have all these other things. So I just have to kind of work this business into. And that may not be you. That's just me. And so, at the top of page 28, she says, while most people start their business very part-time, it requires your full-time effort for you to be completely successful. So whatever that looks like, if you're really going to run after this, then that tagline of work it into the nooks and crannies of your life, I would tell you to be cautious, about that mindset, because for me, it sort of chips away at a full-fledged, I'm a business owner mindset. And so it kind of kicks me in gear, at the same time. And so the first thing she talks about in developing your blueprint is really establishing hours of operation. That goes with, kind of working it goes against working it into the nooks and crannies of your life, right? Because establishing hours of operation and keeping them consistent, I think with your IPA, that's a key factor. And so, she talks about that on page 28 and 29. But, whatever you can give to your business, just make it consistent. I'm a big fan of time blocking. If I can't see it on the calendar because I'm visual, I forget about it. It's no different than my quiet time with the Lord in the morning. If I don't leave my Bible and my journal out, I get busy. I try to keep it on the dining room table and not go into my office first. I really try to give that, quiet time first. Otherwise, even though I plan it, I never get back to it. Or with the same mindset. I'll do it to check it off my list. And so, that consistency is important. And then, and so with establishing hours of operation, this may shock you. On page 29, she says, and again, this is someone who wants to really run after the business. This is someone who really wants to grow their network marketing business. It's important to set aside a minimum of 10 to 15 hours of income producing activity per week if you desire to duplicate a larger network. So 10 to 15 hours, you think about that. If you take the weekends off, let's just say, let's compare it to, if you were going to work for someone else. So 5 days a week, that's 3 hours a day of laser focus IPA. And so anyway, I would just say, show of hands, let's just be real, but who here puts in 3 consistent hours a day of IPA? Who is laser focused, time blocked? I go to my business and I tell myself every day, I'm an entrepreneur. I own this business 3 hours, because I'll tell you, that's not me. There are days when I spend more time, but really cultivating my business. Anybody want to unmute themselves and share? Be honest, transparent.
I was just going to say, I definitely work my business at least 3 hours a day, but I do get stuck in management mode more than I do consistent personal IPA. it's very easy for me to get distracted in what do I need to post on the team page? Oh, we have a book study. I got to get a graphic up. Got to do these things for my team. Yes, close the door. Got to do all of these things for my team. And then I got to get the kids from school, and I didn't get my own work done. And it has always been a weakness of mine.
So great. Thanks for sharing, Ansley. And at the on bottom of page 29, when she talks about income producing activity, there's 3 things. We know them. It's sharing your business and inviting people to learn more. It's sharing your product and inviting people to try them. And it's following up and signing people up and getting them started. It's not posting on Facebook. Well, I guess that would be part of sharing, but it's not posting on your team page. It's not reading, it's not, this does not include personal growth and development yet. Many people can multitask and stuff. I'm the type of person that when I have a project or I have something, I need to sit down and really zone in. Because otherwise it's hard for me to come back and forth. And so, I'm at a different season of life than most of you on this call. And so, you may not have that solid time to give, but you could maybe have a solid hour 3 times a day or whatever. So anyway, just telling you what she's at the top of the company. So if we want to get there at some point, that's what it's going to need to look like. The other part that she talks about then is we just talked about the income producing activity. And so in order to get there, she talks about when you're setting aside your operation, I'm reading from page 30, be sure to include time for prospecting, presenting the opportunity over coffee and calls, attending, hosting local meetings and events, those type of things. And so she said, if you feel like you get overwhelmed, then what can you give up? What can you exchange? And I know for me personally, and maybe, somebody else can share a little bit about this, but I know when I think about that, I could give up TV time. At the end of my day, my husband and I both watch TV. And many times when I'm sitting there, I think, and even in the daily challenge, right now we're on that 5 and 5, and that's when I'm doing it. Most of the time, I just stop the TV thing, go in the other room and get my work done. But I could definitely give up TV time, in exchange for the reward that comes with working my business. Anybody else, what do you think in April? Let's just break it down to April. What's something that comes to your mind that you could give up in the month of April in exchange for working your business a little bit more?
I'm anxious to hear everybody on this because I got a hold of Bree last night and I was freaking out because of this chapter and because of trying to and I had a rough day with school. So doing that, and I've given up TV time. My mom and Miranda go and watch TV. I don't watch TV. I live in my bedroom, whether it's doing business or whether it's doing school. So when I read that, and when I read the 10 to 15, and if you want a big business, you got to have more. I was like, I messaged Bree. I says, I need to vent. I need a venting board. So I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say on this one.
Well, I think everybody's season's different. So just keep that in mind, Val. You may be in a season where your focus is going to be school and less, not that you're not going to grow a big business today or someday, but if your focus is not growing your business fast right now, and your focus is school, then that's okay. You have to be okay with that. If you want your business to grow quickly, I will just tell y'all, I have had 2 seasons in this business. I have had a very quick growth in the beginning, and I have a slow growth right now. My business looks completely different. Okay, you can ask my mother who's leading this call. When I was growing my business quickly. You did not have a conversation with me unless it was about Plexus. I ate, breathed, and slept Plexus. It was, my husband knew when he walked in the door, he took my kids, and I cooked dinner. We sat down, had dinner, and then he put them to bed so that I could work, not Facebook scroll, work. And I talked to every single person I could get my hands on, and you talked to me, or we didn't talk about anything else. Now, my season has changed, and you don't ever know, some people will never go through that season in their business, but that was what I wanted at the time. It's what my family needed. We didn't have an extra income, and in order to do some of the things that we knew we wanted to do, we had to do it quickly. And I had some like luck in there as well, where I either had to answer the messages or people were going to fall off because I had other people building behind me that needed that. Now, I've learned in the process of that it was a season, and that it's not going to work for everybody. A lot of people aren't willing to make those sacrifices, to give up everything for that. And that's okay. But so I know when we go back to this, I want you to remember when you see the jewels and stuff, and I think that's what's hard, is that sometimes we see these jewels in this business that grew really, really quickly. And those are the highlights, okay? It's just like having Facebook highlights. You're going to see highlights, but there are thousands of other people in this business that have gotten to jewel level slowly, okay? And so it doesn't have to be the same speed. Everybody's going to have different sacrifices and different journeys and different, levels. Right now, I'm in a different season. I have a large team, and my heart right now has been helping them and not necessarily growing my business as quickly as possible, because you wouldn't see me, okay? It wouldn't happen, because it's not possible to do both really, really well at full speed ahead. So not that you can't do both things well, it's just not going to look the same. So I would say if I had to give up something, it would be Facebook scrolling. I find myself often, I do Facebook scrolling for business purposes sometimes, but I do spend a lot of time just kind of mindless, like, because I'm a mom and I'm busy and all of those things, but I get caught up where I'm like, oh, let's just go through this. And before I know it, it's been an hour and you don't even realize it. So if I could give up something, it would be that, because I know not only would it help me in my business, it would help me in my personal life. It would give me I would have more focused attention on my children and more focused attention on my husband if I would just put my phone down and pick it up only when I needed to do that. So if you need to Facebook scroll, put it in your calendar, in your time blocking, and do that for your business purpose.
I want to give up prep cooking. I would love to hire somebody to prep cook. It took me 4 hours yesterday to do that. I was like, I could have been talking to people, and I kind of did, but it wasn't full focus, and dishes. Oh my gosh, I need to hire somebody to do my prep cooking and dishes. That would be fantastic.
But doesn't prep cooking give you more time during the week back?
It does to a degree, but I'm running so much and I need to learn to say no. That's something that I need to work on, because I do help that guy, and the last 3 days I've been running every single day for him, and it takes at least 3 hours out of my day to drive to Cheyenne. So driving, and there's no service in some of the places, because Wyoming has like 0 service. So I want to get a cell phone booster, because then I can actually call people during that time and use my time wisely, because I don't want to text the whole time, because that's dangerous. So I know exactly. So, if I could do that, that'd be great. And weekends, I spend my weekends having fun with my husband and friends. So, if I have to say, hey, I need to take an hour to go do business, I'll be back with you guys. I'll be full focus with you in a little bit, but definitely giving people that expectation. Say, hey, I got to do this. I'll be back. See you in a little bit. Because I want to be a diamond just like everybody else, and I will be, and so will all of us, but we have to sacrifice that time. It's nice to be able to just have fun and, you know, the time freedom that we all want now, but we don't get that just yet. So, yeah.
So Val, I just want to say thanks for sharing. And, you know, that's, I started this study, you know, this chapter saying exactly, you know, it is motivating, but it is scary too. And keep in mind that Sarah Robbins is writing this in hindsight. You know, this was not her from the beginning. She's learned, you know, she's at the top of her company and she's learned what's success. And so she's sharing this with us to say, wow, if I could go back and tell my early entrepreneur self a few things, here's what I would say and do. And so, you know, we have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and don't let this be demotivating in any way. You know, let it be an encouragement to, you know, what it could look like. It doesn't mean you'll fail if you don't do exactly this. That's not it, you know, and you know, and everybody's success looks different. Everybody's level of achievement, you know, not everybody wants to give the time, you know, that it takes, you know, to be a diamond, you know, to be a jewel. That's like being a CEO of a company. I mean, that's a big responsibility. And you know, I'm 57 years old, and so I'm, you know, very honestly, not sure exactly where, when I look at the rank achievement, I'm not sure, you know, where I really want to be. I know what I need, and then, you know, we kind of go from there. So I'm in that same boat with you, Val, and that's why I wanted to only do chapter 3, because it really did, it motivated me, but it really kicked my butt at first. So hang in there.
And I just want to say one more thing. I know you're going to move on, but I just want to remind you that, let's say your goal is Emerald, which is my current goal. Your goal, whether you go to Emerald in 6 months or 5 years, it's the same position. It's going to be just as sweet when you get to the top of that mountain, no matter how long it takes you to get there. And I'm learning that. In the beginning, I thought, because I had a fast growing business, I had to get there and it was going to be so exciting that I got there in the first year and all of that. And in reading 5 Levels of Leadership, it was a position mindset. And I thought that getting to that position was going to give me leadership. And I was so wrong. So getting there slowly has actually been so much sweeter, because I've been able to learn along the process and get to know my team and really appreciate every point, every step, every person, every life change as we get there. So don't stress out if you're not in a hurry to get there. That's okay too.
So moving on, you know, we're talking about, you know, developing your blueprint. You know, we talked about establishing hours of operation. We talked about, you know, income producing activity, reaching out about the business of the product and following up. So the next step then is personal development, personal growth. And so, you know, your business can only grow if you do. And so I think this is the biggest probably area for me personally that, you know, is probably lacking, because I do share about the product and the business a lot, and I do get into that team management mode. So that personal, you know, growth and development. On page 32, she said, you know, she likes to spend time each morning devoting attention to her personal and professional growth. And so it's a perfect way to power up her day. And she ends her day that way too. So she's thinking and believing positive things before her head hits the pillow. So I really like that, you know, and that can be, it can be quiet time with, you know, with the Lord, if that's, you know, your thing. It can be, you know, about the business, you know, different things like that. And so she said, you know, just to be able to, again, exchange time, fit things in, you know, when she drives, she likes to listen to CDs and make her car a rolling university. I loved that. You know, I spend a lot, when I drive, people that ride with me, they know my radio's never on. I like to pray. That's my time, you know, to really pray and but I love that, you know, rolling university thing. And I thought, you know, that's one of the things that that I could probably exchange a little bit. I walk a lot. I do a lot of walking and hiking. And that's when I like to listen to like diamond documentaries and things like that. You know, I just really like to have that kind of stuff in, you know, in my ear. So I was just wondering, you know, what do you guys do? How do you fit in personal growth and development? And what do you like the best? What encourages you and motivates you the best?
Well, for me, I have to get up early because by the time my kids are ready for bed, I'm way past ready for bed. So I wake up early and I just, whether it's reading or even just sitting there quietly, that's my personal time. And with these meetings, I'm in McDonald's and it's really loud. But these meetings have been helping so much because then I learn about more ways to just learn about myself or my business. And then what rewards me and keeps me motivated is my family noticing. Like, I'm learning how to schedule my business where I do it during the day. So nighttime's family time. I'm more positive about everything, more outgoing. I actually want to do stuff with them or be silly instead of just sit there kind of, today's today. So that's just a little bit about what I've been learning about personal growth and my scheduling.
And what a great vision of being able to fit this into the nooks and crannies of our day. Y'all, she's at McDonald's, so her kids are occupied. They're not in front of an iPad like mine sometimes are, and she's plugged into her meeting to get her personal development in. Like, so cheers to you, because that's just that's the way. That is the way that this business works for a lot of us moms, that, you know, we don't have the extra time. We have to make the time. So something, you know, falls. I have to have an audiobook. I'm just not good at comprehension. I really struggle to sit down and read a book. So for me, for my personal development, I actually like to have both. I do have to carve out the time because it's just the way my brain is, and I need to listen and highlight to really let it sink in for me. So I have to just kind of pick a day and get up and do it, or do it in the evening. Kind of works for us that when my husband puts the kids to bed or right afterwards, I just tell him, like, I need an hour, and, you know, once a week. But I also we don't have good radio stations here in England. So I put not diamond documentaries, but our training calls and stuff. I'll find one on YouTube and I will play that in the car on my 30-minute commute to get the mail. And a lot of times when I'm doing my IPA or, you know, messaging or doing things like that, I love Bob Heilig, and I've been doing his leadership group. And so I will listen to his lives or replay his lives while I am sending out messages or doing finances or something on the computer.
I do the audiobook too, but I try really hard, and today was a epic fail, but I try really hard to read my scriptures before I do anything else. Because I know to get through what I got to go through for at least the next 4 years, it ain't going to happen without him. So that's one thing I've really got to focus on. And then I listen to my audiobooks a lot, especially if we're traveling. Everybody gets educated on how to build a business or self-development because it's on the speaker, and that's what I listen to. So that's how I do it.
Treadmill time is good too. I have my devotional. That's usually where I do my devotional. If I do intermittent running, and so when I'm walking, I will do my devotionals, and I like short things because I don't like to read.
Yeah, I do the YouVersion Bible on my phone, and I just start, somewhere, and it just, different versions. Like I know the New Living Translation has audio, And so I pick one of the translations that has audio, and it's amazing, in 3 or 4 miles of walking, you can get through almost the whole book of Romans, because it just keeps going till you stop it. So, you don't have to always be in study format, because it just gets in your, ear. And so that's awesome. So then the next thing we wanted to talk about then is just a mindset and, being really intentional about your daily programming. And so page 32 and 33, and this is really my, it's kind of my struggle. And she just said, she was a big bundle of doubt and fear. She said she, had her everyday I quit moments. And she was on a roller coaster, and she just said, if you two are on the, Plexus roller coaster, it's time to stop, refocus, recommit, reestablish goals, and restart. I can't tell you how many times in the last 25 months that I've done that, where I've just had to stop, refocus, recommit, and reestablish. And so, but saying things like, nobody is joining my team, or somebody just quit, or everyone's quitting. And if you're listening to other people tell you that, that's where you have to turn it around, and you have to turn yourself around. I'm awful at these positive affirmations. And we've been Plexus, that we've been talking about it for a couple of years, and I'm still bad at them. Rhonda, she posts one every day. That is her lifestyle. She's really fit. Talk about fitting something into the nooks and crannies. She's really fit that, committed to that. And she's somebody I look for her positive affirmation because I never do one myself. So, she said your words are either going to be a fertilizer to your growing team, or they're going to poison it. Personal development, took me on a 2-year journey, she said, into deep discovery about the power of my thoughts and words. So again, we benefit from where she was. She's coming back to say positive affirmations, are so important. She talks about starting her day that way and ending her day that way. And so, there's an app for that. You can write it on a Post-it note. You can find it from scripture, whatever, but you need to make a decision to be successful. And I know Bree talked about this on our team meeting, last week. You really have to make up your mind, and you have to declare you will be successful, whatever that looks like for you in this season. She said, at the bottom of page 33, she said, the day she made up her mind to change her daily declaration. I have the fastest growing team in the company. I'll be the top leader and earner. She said at the time it wasn't true, but the daily affirmation spoken out loud elevated my belief, which changed my confidence and ultimately affected my odds and created results. And so, if she's saying it, and we have so many people in our company saying that those positive affirmations, whether they're true or not, that changing your belief. And I would encourage you, when you're listening to your team, I would encourage you to be, tune your ear into hearing that. I hear that on my team, a lot. And I forget to say, wait, because you want people to vent. It's like Val, you said, you vented, and that's great. You want that, and vent up always. But then it's our responsibility as a leader to turn that around, and say, okay, that may be true, but here's what can be. So let's turn it around into something, positive. Let's leave this conversation, now that you've kind of gotten all that out, let's leave this conversation with a positive, something positive, a positive affirmation that can change your, belief. And let's do it until it happens. Let's say it until it's true. And I think that's what, Sarah is saying. And she says, what are your attitudes about success? What are you saying about yourself and your team daily? What are you thinking? You may not even be venting, but what are you thinking? Because your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions, and your actions determine your outcome. So if you're, and I'm on page 34, second paragraph, if you're following, But if your attitude is demotivating, if you're saying to yourself that everybody's quitting, or you just can't, you've run out of contacts, or you thought, whatever it is, then that's going to determine your outcome. If you change that around, though, and you say, God placed me in this business for a reason. I believe this is my calling today. I am going to trust in that. If you say that you have a wonderful team, you love every person on that team, and they all, have amazing gifts that you can help, cultivate. I may have run out of people to put on a hundreds list, but I can talk to a stranger today. I can put on a Plexus shirt and watch for someone to, look at it, or I can, make a phone call and encourage, whatever it is, it's going to determine, your outcome and your success, so that at the end of the day, you're not still believing the negative, but you have that positive things to say. Lord, I'm really grateful for this, and I'm grateful for this, and not, I didn't do this today. I had it, in the 5 for 5 the other day, I was struggling with a second post. I just was struggling with what can I say, and whatever. And I just I finally just thought, why am I doing that to myself? Why am I saying that what I've done isn't good enough? Why don't I just focus on what I've done today? And I did, and went to bed that way. And it's amazing how the next day I was so full of things. It's like, and things just kind of happened that I could talk about. So I think if we could change one thing, each of us on this team, if we could change one thing that would really, really spur our growth, it would be our mindset. Mm-hmm. Not just belief in products and belief in business, but ourselves. And what if God gave us each this business for that? What if that's what he gave it to us for, is to see ourselves as he sees us? What if?
I was going to jump on and say, I hope that it is for me, and I hope it is for y'all, your come to Jesus moment, that moment when the preacher's preaching at you and you're like, oh, they're talking to me, because I've not met not one person have I read a book about that's successful that doesn't say this very thing. There is no one. I've been reading books, and I've been watching people on YouTube and stuff, and every single successful person says this was what changed their business. So but I was going to tell you about a moment that I had with Jennifer Wolf, and her upline is Rachel Rogers, and we talk often about mindset and some different things, and she recently went Emerald, and she just told me that mindset it's what changed everything for her. Positive affirmations. She's done a call for our jewels on positive affirmations, and she just said, Rachel, her upline, and her just got a kind of a powwow. So I hope this is that for everyone, and said, we're no longer going to talk down about ourselves or our business. If I talk to you about it, you're not going to let me do it, and I'm not going to let you do it. And so, because I would message her and say like, oh, I'm so frustrated on this, and whatever. And she said, we need to talk. And so I got on the phone with her. She said, no more. The reason that you're there is because you're saying it out loud. What you say will be true. And so I think it's just that if you catch somebody on your team or yourself, and we've said this before, but we have to do the action. If somebody calls you, whether you're a sideline, an upline, or downline, and they say, oh, I'm really frustrated because I don't have any contacts, or I'm really frustrated because my team's not growing, you're going to say, hey, we've been talking about positive affirmations, and we're going to change that together. I'm really sorry you're having a bad day. I'm going to pray about that for you, but we're going to turn that around right now. I want to hear you say out loud, my team is booming. My team is exploding. You have to say it, or it's not going to happen. If we stand in the mirror every day I mean, and I think the one thing that changed for me with positive affirmations was, well, there's two of them. Would you say them to your children, and would you say it to Jesus? He created us in perfection in his own eyes, right? So would he create junk? Nope. So why are we telling ourselves junk? Would you say that to your children? Would you look at your children and say, you're not good enough, you're not doing this, or you're not doing that? You wouldn't do it, because you know that your words are powerful. So why are you saying them to yourself? Let's make a declaration today that we're not going to allow our words to hurt ourselves or anybody else on our team, because every single person that you talk to, even if you're just venting, it affects. So let's just decide we're just going to be positive, and I promise you're going to see a change, because there isn't anybody that's successful that doesn't believe that.
I noticed that after that little training I did, Landmark, after I talked to you guys about that, before I was so just down on everything, and I could not talk to anybody and be truthful, because I was not happy myself. We work for a health and happiness company. Why am I not happy? And it had nothing to do with anybody else. It had nothing to do with anything but me. And seeing that switch, holy crap, I'm talking to everybody. All these people are like, yeah, that sounds amazing. It's like it was when I first started. And, things happen throughout our journeys. I've been in this for a year. Holy crap, it's been a year. I can't believe this. But, I've been in this for a year. It still amazes me what our products and our company does. I'd never lost faith in that, but I lost faith in myself, because I didn't do the follow-ups. I didn't reach out to them, make sure everything's going okay, and help them troubleshoot if they had to troubleshoot, and we have a team that we can lean on to do that with. And when I changed my mindset last week, I can't even tell you. The trade show was amazing. I talked to everybody. I was just so full of love and light and energy and all this stuff, and it was amazing. So I thought the whole affirmations was hokey pokey. And when we first did it in that 90-day program, I was like, yeah, I'll write some down, but I'm good. But if I would have kept those affirmations going through that time that I had my down season, I probably wouldn't have had a down season, And so keeping those affirmations going every single day. We are whole, complete, and perfect. God made us that way for a reason. He made you who you are. But yes, I just had to say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, being able to, help each other out in that way, and, maybe, and I think it would change our mindset. So when we reach out to each other, instead of, I've just got a vent, I need you to pour into me right now. Remind me, why I'm not a failure, how I can do this. Remind me why I'm in this, and that helps too, as we're talking about personal growth and development, we're talking about this positive mindset on page 35. It just talks about, a team now. Now it's not just us, it's, what kind of culture do you want to create on your team? And so, I think this is probably personally what's probably lacking the most in my team from me, because if I'm not practicing this myself, I'm certainly not pouring it into my team. I'm not duplicating it. Also, they can't duplicate it, and so when we do have, seasons, the roller coaster high and low. And so, grow yourself and your team will grow. Be the leader they are looking for. Many of us think, oh, we just have wholesale ambassadors or whatever. They're not looking for to do a business or whatever. They might, if you're an amazing leader, if you're a positive leader. And so, true leaders can cast vision. I'm at the top of page 35, and they know where they are going. And so, they plan for it, they communicate it to their team. And, so the question is, what are your plans for you and your team? Where do you want to take them? Have you shared this vision with them? And, and that's so important, all the way up to, even, Ansley, just, calling you out a little bit. I mean, you just are so, I love watching you. You're passionate. You're so good, what you do. But that you have to cast a vision for all of us so that we can, I mean, you do, but I mean, you know what I mean, on a regular basis, so that we can, like just now, casting the vision right now about telling us about how, Rachel did that and just said, we're starting over. From now on, we're drawing our line in the sand and we're going to be positive. And so that helps us then to get off this call and do the same thing, with our team. At least for me, it motivates me to say to my team, man, and to be authentic and say, you know what, I haven't done a good job of this. I noticed that, about myself. And so, I'm self-aware. And so anyway, cool. Jewelry retreat. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We can even if we do it here, but the next thing I just want to talk about then on personal growth and development, and that is developing your why. And I know, everybody on this call now, but I know it's recorded and other people will see it, but most of us have been, done quite a bit of training on developing our why. And so, it's so important. And, I keep calling myself out, but I have a very loose why. It's, it's getting more concrete, and other people can write my why for me. But Bob Heilig, he really leads you into, writing it down. And so, she talks about, it's not just, dreams, but really, what is it that almost makes you, want to cry. I think on page 37, she said, I've heard people in the profession say that your why should make you cry. What that means is your why should move you emotionally and keep you enthusiastic about business during the ups and downs that an entrepreneur can face. And so, I think that's, if we duplicate that to our team too, that's the time when, when they're coming to us and they're struggling or whatever that is, that's the time when we can just say, let's revisit your why. Remind me why you're doing this. Help them to remind themselves, why. And so she talked about, and I know, Bree, you led us through vision board, having that visual, to be able to look at, when you've sent out messages and you've got crickets, why, do you want to do this? And so she says, please take the time right now to really write it down, and include the senses, describe your vision. And then what I would encourage all of you to do, even if you've done it, there's 6 of us on this call now. There's others that will listen to the recording, but pick one of us and, let's share our why together. It's just a quick call or just a quick message, and, and share our why, because you really have to, I think, you really have to share it to really believe it. You really have to believe it in order to share it. So I'd encourage that, even if you've done it before, pick it somebody else and say, hey, because Bob Heilig talks about that a lot in his training, about asking people, would you be willing to listen to why I'm passionate about this business? Ask for permission and then share it. He tells you to record it and share it. When you've accomplished this, then, share it with others. Remember that anything is possible if your reason why is big enough. So for her, she was afraid if she lost her teaching job, so that motivated her. And then she began to dream as she started to have success in the business, about helping, others, about helping people, orphans or people that were having trouble, and paying their bills and things like that. And she really started to dream about this foundation. And so if you don't really put it into concrete sentences, it's never gonna come alive. And I know that from personal experience. Anybody want to share just 3 minutes or less your why? I'd love to hear them.
If I share my why, do I have to call somebody else?
You decide. It's whatever motivates you.
I want to start a home for, and I'm in the turmoil of either pregnant teens or trafficked women. And that's why I'm going back to school. And that's why I'm building my business. And it makes me cry, so it counts.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Val. I love that. And you, from the day I've met you, you've always known that. I mean, you've always known that. I love that. It didn't have to, develop, God gave you this business because I believe he believes in your dream. And so that's a calling on your heart. And I love that. That's special.
Val, I said page 36 is for you because that's a really big calling. And I know that it scares the poo out of you. And I know that also it feels like it's really far in the future because you feel like you got to have money and you got to have this education and you got to have all of these things. And she really talks about breaking that down into individual goals to get there because she talked about how she wanted to have this foundation for children funded by her marketing business, that it was going to take millions of dollars to do that it felt completely overwhelming. And so the advice they gave her was that, and she just said, I had to break it down into achievable goals so I could celebrate small successes on the way to the big dream. So I would just challenge you to do that. Write down what does it take to get there, and how can you put those into small goals. Maybe that's just getting your first semester of classes under your belt and go take yourself out to dinner for that, or something like that, because every time you reach one of those goals you can check it off your list. And if you feel like it's this huge enormous thing, it's going to demotivate you instead of motivate you, and that's the opposite of what you want.
I need help with that.
Well, and I love where he does talk about the next thing we're going to talk about is setting goals. But, it's like, I would say even like something like that, Val, it's like, I had to know you through Plexus to know that. And that's just something that I love that you have that dream, and I want to see it because I want those women and those teens or those, I want them taken care of. I want them, I want that too. It's my people too, right? And so, I'd be sharing that publicly on your Facebook often. I just finished this, so I've signed up for this class or signed up for these classes because my dream is to someday. And I think if you'll say it out loud, it won't be a secret dream in your heart. It will be a belief, and you'll find people behind you. And then woohoo, I aced this test. I'm one step closer to my dream of, and often and out loud. I think that is, it's no different than evangelizing. People can't know Jesus if we're not talking about him often and out loud, right? So it's really no different. If we just keep it secret in our heart, it's not the same. So that'd be my encouragement. I love that God's, giving you that calling.
I've had it since I was in high school, and it's hard to share because I'm afraid of failing. Then everybody knows that I failed.
But Val, okay, so I'm still kind of going through some of the things that she's done. I think you have, like I said, I think that big dream is amazing, but I think if you break it down into little pieces and be comfortable with the stepping stones along the way being just as important as your huge foundation. Maybe this Christmas you're going to sponsor one family, or maybe this Christmas you're going to raise money for a home that's already doing what you want to do ultimately. Those are just as important, and they're just as big as owning it yourself. So allow yourself to expand your vision into, what, all the things that it could be, and stop limiting yourself to, in order to be successful, I have to have just this. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Because when I read that chapter last night, because when I messaged Bree, I was on the first part. And when I had read that part, I've always wanted to be able to give like at Christmas, because I hate Christmas. I can't stand it because it's so commercial. The real reason isn't there anymore. But I've always wanted to help that family that struggled, that couldn't put one present under the tree even for their kids. So I read that too, and that actually hit home pretty good.
But maybe it's going to be a mom, a sex trafficked mom that has her children Christmas this year, or a pregnant teenager that needs a new car seat for that baby that's on the way, and allowing those things she talked about, having, building the one ramp, or sending one kid to camp for the summer, things like that, that are part of your vision and part of your dream. And, and I love what Mel said about sharing your vision with the world, because guess what? If you've shared this so much, when you get to Christmas this year, you're going to be able to say, okay, this is my goal. I'm going to send, I'm going to give gifts to, 2 trafficked moms this year. Does anybody want to support me in that? And everybody's going to be ready to do that with you, because they're watching your vision and they want to back you. If they don't know that, and all of a sudden you spring it on people, they're going to be like, what? Oh, this is just something that popped into Val's head. People are on your Facebook and living life beside you because they enjoy something about you and what you're doing. So they need to know, your why and what drives you every day.
And give yourself a pat on the back for actually saying it, because it took a long time for you to even tell me what your big was forever, since you were a little kid. So take that and pat yourself on the back, because you're on the way. You're stepping, that's a victory. So take that victory and take the next step. Now is to tell everybody on Facebook, not everybody in the world, but tell everybody on Facebook, and and then continue that, and people will share that. People will be like, oh my gosh, this person wants to do this for all these people. Man, I wish that I had a big dream like that, because I would share the crap out of it. So take that time and give yourself a pat on the back for all of the things you've done this year. You have been absolutely amazing, and you have grown so much. So keep pushing that way, but I love that Ansley told you to break it down, and I think that's great, but give yourself that pat on the back too.
And things that evolve don't mean failures, Val. Try to keep that in mind too. Think about when you had this vision for who you were going to marry. Is it really who you ended up marrying? Things that you could have never said that the person that I married, who I adore to pieces, was who I thought I was going to marry. If I had said, well, he has to have gone to college and he has to have, life insurance, blah, blah, blah. Like if I had made a list of all the things I thought were going to happen, I would have never married my husband. And I have an amazing life with my husband. So remember that if your dream evolves, if it becomes something completely different, or pieces of it, or whatever, that's not a failure. That's just part of success and part of where a vision can go, and be okay with letting it evolve in that it's not going to be a failure.
So on the subject of goal setting, she says, goals are dreams with deadlines, and that helps to break things down. So, where do you want to be, this quarter, or, where do you want to end this month? Or, is there something that you want to work toward in April? Are you part of the convention contest? I talked to Tammy last night, and she was telling me, where she wants to be. And, you know, and then, and of course, I'm learning, you know, like with positive affirmations, she's like, but I don't think there's any way, you know, I have to learn to turn, you know, that around. And so, you know, goals keep you empowered. And your goals are empowered by your belief and your why. So that should help you. You know, when you establish a strong why, like, you know, like we've talked about on this call, then it really motivates you to take up action in that daily income producing activity, you know, and it takes kind of off, it takes away a little bit off the me, because most of us probably, when we look at our why, it's centered on, you know, others. Although it takes me to get there, you know, I want my husband to be able to retire. I don't, you know, right now, that's not in our future. You know, I don't mean retire early, you know, I mean retire. You know, how can we do that? How can we be retired, you know, people someday? How can we not have to work somewhere, you know? You see Walmart greeters that, you know, are sitting on a stool with their walker nearby. They're 75, 80 years old. They're probably not doing that because they just love people. They may need an extra income, you know, and so what, you know, that should motivate you. So whether it's a rank achievement, a promotion that's going on, a challenge, an incentive, you know, the whole purpose of our company and our team putting these things before us is you know, not to benefit them. Don't think of it that way. It's so that you can motivate yourself so that you can get to your why. You know, it's how you're going to get to your why. And so she breaks down, you know, steps where she does talk about a vision board, you know, paste pictures in your planner. But, you know, she talks about, you know, set a weekly time to inspire one another, which I believe we do in our team meetings, share best practices and celebrate success, get an accountability partner. You know, I'd recommend it somebody besides your upline, really, and develop your action plan, share your goal, and again, goal, not big dream, you know, why is a big dream? So breaking it down, you know, what's your goal? You know, whether it's, you know, I have students on my team getting through, you know, another semester, so that, you know, that can move you forward in what you want to do, you know, eventually, whether it's ranking up, whatever it is, you know, develop an action plan, share it, and then break it down in daily action. And that's the part that takes some time. You know, it's daily action. That's that, you know, if I want to be, let's just say there's a rank advancement. If I want to be Ruby by this date, how many points is that? And how many do I need daily, you know, to get to that number? And what does that look like? How many calls would it take? Or how many events, you know, would it take? How many more contacts do I need? And then track it. Don't let loose of it. Look at reporting every, you know, twice a month at least. Look at it. And I can tell you that people that went super silver across the board in Plexus, they were looking at their measurement. They were tracking every day. Because I can remember rank advancing and I was everyday focused and someone else was focused with me. And so, you know, Darlene, you know, went super silver, you know, overnight. And boy, you know, even yesterday we were, you know, Tammy and I, you know, we were super focused on it, you know, for her. And, you know, knew that, you know, it looked like the 28th was going to be her day. But we knew we had 3 days after that if it wasn't. And so we were already, you know, super focused on that. So I would definitely track it, make a vision board, and get an accountability partner or a power partner. You know, we talked about that. And that's just, and make sure it's somebody that you know could really be positive, you know, and if maybe they haven't read this book, invite them to do that. Or, or let them know, hey, I need an accountability partner, and, just for the purpose of sharing, but I'm going to need you to reel me in and keep me positive. I'm going to need you to remind me of what my why is, and I'll do that for you too. And then, the last thing is really just playing the part, so she just, she talked about, on page 40, she just talked about, while you're on your journey, play the part, last paragraph. You've heard the old saying, fake it till you make it. I want to encourage you to play the part of a successful entrepreneur. So this includes setting up professional voicemail on your phone, setting up professional profiles online, creating professional email signatures that include a link to your website, get business cards, order brochures and samples, dress the part. You never know when you're going to meet the next power player, or where. What do you want people to think of you when they call you on the phone, receive an email reply, or find you on Facebook? Ainsley went over that at a team meeting. What does your Facebook profile look like? And so, those are, you can do all those things or some of those things, whatever it is that motivates you and moves you into becoming the CEO of your own business. We can all be in an airport, right? And we're sitting in the airport lobby waiting on our flight. And I'll bet we could pick out the successful business people. They're dressed for the part. They have their equipment with them. They're working, or on the plane. Those that bring the tray table down, get their little laptop up, and they're working, right? We can tell. Are there others in that lobby area that are successful CEOs that we don't recognize? Yes, but playing the part and really, dressing the part and acting the part and having great professional conversations, and that stems to social media too. We've talked about that. Yeah, that's true. Hard to talk to somebody in a restaurant when you're eating cheese fries, and that's true. But where was I going? We forgot. See, Ansley, here's what happens when you're 57. I saw a squirrel. Anybody remember my last sentence or what I was saying?
You're just talking about, being, dressing the part, doing, what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, don't remember. But anyway, yeah. Oh, I know. I was talking about social media is what I said, and we many times there's many trainings on it. And that's just, what you say on social media is so important. How you represent your brand, and not only is your brand Plexus, but your brand now is, your own business. You are the CEO. And so watch your language, watch what you rally around, watch the causes you rally around, watch the things that you hit share on, things like that. Be careful. And then, pull conversations aside or delete posts when you need to, including your own, but I would definitely be, looking at that, what's your brand? And so, anyway, I think that's really all I've got for today. We have about 15 minutes, left. So I'd, love to kind of hear from you all. What did you highlight in this chapter that I might have skipped? Or what else did you just pick up that maybe we might not have chatted about?
We're actually about 15 minutes over, but I just
sorry.
No, it's okay. But I just wanted to say on that last thing, y'all, be okay with constructive criticism too. I think it's so important. Same thing we talked about with positive affirmations. This is our core team. The people that are on our thread and the people that are on these calls, these are our core team. We need to be okay with some constructive criticism. So if you see something on someone's Facebook that, you know, is out of alignment with what they say they want to be, you know, just encourage them, reach out and say, hey, it looks like you might have had a bad day. I just wanted you to know, I saw your post. I'm going to pray about that for you. But, you know, when I read it, it came off, you know, as a negative. And, you know, I think, you know, because you're really trying to be successful in your business, that maybe you should reconsider it, you know, and be okay with that. I want people to call me out. I'm not, now let me just back this up and say, every day is not sunshine and roses, y'all. I get that. Nobody's saying you have to be positive, Polly, 50, you know, 100% of the time. If you look at my Facebook, I have things that are challenging, that are, you know, that are growth for me in my life and in my business. Shh, I'm almost done. But they're not, woe is me, I'm having a horrible day, you know, I hate life, you know, this person sucked, you know, it doesn't look like that. It might be a quote with, you know, with some structure, you know, to it, saying, you know, this is who I am, I'm learning to fall in love with that, you know, I'm not perfect, kind of a thing. But it's, oh, sorry, that's all I want to say.
All right. Anybody else want to unmute themselves before we stop?
I just want to say, I know I wasn't as active as I normally am, but I was listening, and everything I heard was so encouraging. And it goes back to no excuses. I mean, really, our excuses are someone else's reason to do this business. So, I mean, I'm just thankful for you women around here, and I'm babysitting a little one, so that's fun.
Sorry, y'all. Yeah, Brittany, I love that. And I didn't mean that. I saw the confrontation thing. Y'all, we don't have to agree with it. If somebody calls you out on something, you know, take it with a grain of salt, go back and look. And if you feel like, you know, you were sharing your heart, and, you know, and it's 100%, you know, just the way it had to be, then okay. But if you know that somebody's reading it differently, take that into consideration and go, okay, well, maybe it could be read differently. I am 100% guilty of thinking I get my point across with my words, and they're not read the same way, or they're not listened to the same way that I meant for it. And that sometimes people don't see my heart in it, you know, because when you post something or you write something, you read it in your head, you read through the lines, right? You don't write exactly what you mean sometimes. So that's all I meant, is that just within our group, be okay with it. Be okay with, you know, of having to adjust things here and there, and, you know, and do it with love. You know, don't tell somebody they are a horrible person and they wrote something nasty today. Thank you, Mel, for this beautiful book study. I got so much out of it, and I know everybody else did. I can see everybody nodding their heads, and it's a lot of fun. This is her gift. She is a trainer by job description, and I'm just so thankful that not only is she my business partner, but she's my mama. So I love you, and I hope that everybody has just an amazing rest of their week. And we'll see y'all next week on Chapter 4.